What up, nation? Welcome to another edition of the WiseTake NBA DFS Early Look. CK013 here. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013, and I, of course, am from the WiseTake Nation, which you can find on all the social media platforms listed below or directly at WiseTake.com if you're looking to take your DFS game to the next level. We're a premium DFS content provider as well as a DFS community designed to help make you a better DFS player. Check us out, WiseTake.com. Day pass is available for $2.50. That's it, $2.50 to try us out for a day. You get all the content, including our pre-lock live stream, which we do 45 minutes prior to lock, up to lock, to make sure you have as much news as you need, or at least as possible before lock, and the latest information in general. Anyway, if you're new to the channel, welcome. Please subscribe, hit the notifications bell. Don't miss out on any of the free content we put out. Put out a lot of free content. And please hit the like button. Likes really go a long way, really help us out. And what helps us out even more is sharing. If you guys can share the show, we appreciate it. The sharing helps to grow us as a company, as a YouTube channel, as everything. So please share. It goes a long way, whatever the platform is that you use. And lastly, continue to leave your comments, man. I've been joining the comments. Try to answer them whenever I can. Yesterday, didn't really get too much of a chance to answer. I was kind of running around, but leave them below. I want to hear from you, whether it's thoughts on something I said, thoughts on your actual thoughts on the slate, even if it's just updates to let other people who watch the show know. Part of a community is the community aspect is what we are huge on here at the WiseTake Nation, and you guys are the community. So there's that. All right, FanDuel and the DraftKings pulled up. We are going to start off with Toronto and Milwaukee, which is our only early game, 7:30 p.m. Eastern lock, and then the next two games ain't until 10 o'clock at night. So that's interesting. We have the Brooklyn Laker game kind of headlining the slate. But to be honest, all three of these games should be pretty interesting. Miami's on a back-to-back against Sacramento, who's played fast and have allowed a lot of fantasy points. And then Toronto-Milwaukee, division rivals. And, Milwaukee likes to pace teams up, and Toronto, while they haven't looked like a great team, they're normally a pretty good team. So we'll start off with Toronto-Milwaukee. Giannis was the one that had the big game last time these guys played. Now, it is worth noting that that's two games. Giannis has been smashing 4 games in a row. He's just been going nuts. 68, 74, 72, 74 on FanDuel. And on DraftKings, 70, 65, 74, and 70. He's just been a monster. Now, Jrue Holiday is currently a game-time decision. I think we're just assuming that because of the health protocols, nobody's sure if he's the one that tested positive or not. But there were some comments made by Middleton suggesting that maybe Holiday did test positive. Middleton mentioned how scary it is for players going home to their families. So nobody knows anything. They're not allowed to disclose that, but it's possible that Holiday did. So we'll find out if he's out. I'm going to assume he's out for now just because I haven't heard anything about him returning. But obviously, if he's in, it's going to change some things. But if he's out, expect Giannis and Middleton to carry that increased ownership. Now, Middleton has been Middleton was real bad in the last game. 37 minutes, 11 points, 7 rebounds. We got to go back. I mean, he's been bad for a few games in a row, right? But now the price has decreased to 7-3. Again, if Jrue Holiday comes back, that's going to change things up. But on FanDuel, Chris Middleton is only 7-3, and I think we have to go back. Even on DraftKings, he's down to 7-8. So I know it's not as low, but he was just 8K in this matchup, and I'm willing to go back and take that chance. So I do like Middleton from this game. Probably my favorite buck. Not that I don't like Giannis. We always like Giannis, but I just anticipate high ownership. Then again, if people are trying to play the studs in the later games, maybe we see lower ownership. But I know in general, people are going to see Giannis's game logs and say, "Yo, this dude's been smashing," and just try to fit him in. And I'm not saying you shouldn't fit him in. One thing to note, they started Siakam at the 5, which made Toronto really small. OG came back, so it was like Lowry, Van Fleet, Norman Powell, OG, and Siakam. If they do that again, it's going to be good for Giannis. The smaller a team is, the better it is for Giannis, who smashes boards and takes a lot of high percentage shots close to the basket. That being said, Siakam's okay. He should be really low owned. I'm not a fan of the price. He did really well against Milwaukee last time out. I'm just not a fan on FanDuel, that is. On DraftKings, he's 7-6, certainly in play. And I think he will still, even though he did well, I think he'll carry some low ownership just because people ain't going to want to play him. Van Fleet is only 7-9 on DraftKings. Not sure why they picked now to lower his price after he just smashed at 8-2, but they decided to lower it. Took 22 shots, 5 for 12 from 3. It's hard to argue with Van Fleet. I hate to be a fish and say, oh, it just happened, he's going to do it again. I hate to be a fish like that, but just in terms of actual basketball, Milwaukee promotes the three-point shot. Van Fleet's one of their better three-point shooters, and more importantly, he's one of their volume three-point shooters. So hard to argue against Van Fleet again. on both sites, 8K FanDuel, 7-9 DraftKings. Either way, again, very hard to argue. What else do we have here? Lowry's questionable. If he's out, it's going to make Van Fleet even more appealing. He got hurt after 21 minutes. He's currently questionable. We'll see. He got hurt when his ankle didn't come back. We'll see if he plays. If he's in, he could be kind of sneaky from an ownership standpoint. Though we talk about it all the time on our pre-lock live stream and in our Slack chat. It's if I'm ever asked Van Fleet or Lowry, it's almost always Van Fleet. It's just what it's become. Chris Boucher got 30 minutes against Milwaukee, did well. I'd be willing to go back to him. 5 blocks. That's a little bit ambitious. I understand that, but he does have upside, that we know. I thought it was good to see that OG coming back didn't necessarily affect him too much. OG did play 26 minutes, so he did get out there and actually play. If OG's up to 4, it's fine. I don't love his price, though. And especially knowing that he's not going to play, most likely not play a full run because of all the time he's missed. I'd be willing to give Powell another shot. He's down to 5.8 on FanDuel, assuming he starts. If he's not starting, then I get nervous about the minutes. But with him starting, he did get 34 minutes. The volume wasn't really there, right? We expected it to hurt him with OG coming back, and it did. It hurt his volume. He only took 7 shots. Maybe he takes a little bit more. He was only 1 for 4 from 3. I think if he's feeling a three-point shot, he's another one like Van Fleet who will take a lot of threes, and that's really how you get at these guys. Bobby Portis has been pretty awesome. Coming off the bench this year. His minutes have been up and down, but he doesn't need a whole ton of minutes to get going, so you can always consider Bobby Portis. And Dante DiVincenzo, another low-owned option from the Bucks, who's playing. Now, this is only if Drew Holiday's out. If Drew Holiday's in, expect to see the usage go down. The one thing about DiVincenzo we have to realize is he does have a really low floor. But if you're comfortable with that, we can move forward. Brolo got minutes, didn't do a whole lot with it. I think Pat Connaughton exploded. 31 minutes, 8 for 15 from the field, 4 for 10 from 3. If you want to chase with this, he had the game of his life. He got 31 minutes. Minutes he's been getting some. And we'd expect him to go down with OG here. If Lowry's out, that might be a path. I'm sorry. If Holiday's out, then I'm talking about OG. I'm talking about the wrong team. If Holiday is out, excuse me, then I would assume he continues to see at least the 23 he got against OKC, right? But how efficient is he? And how highly is he owned after coming off that smash burger? Those are the questions. Brendan Forbes continues to get minutes and is just super scoring dependent at this point. But it's a small slate, so you got to be open-minded with these things. But some pretty good plays. I expect increased ownership. I always do on the early games, right? And I personally, especially those of you who are members of the WiseTake Nation, know that I like the late games. Always have lower ownership. And in tournaments, we're really playing that ownership game. Cash games, just play the best plays you see. That's it. Right. Brooklyn and the Lakers. So this game, if people are patient, this game should be the most popular. And I say that because Brooklyn is a very good team. And also, the Lakers are obviously a good team. But more importantly, every team that plays Brooklyn, they just don't play defense. Every team that plays Brooklyn just scores a shit ton of points. So I look at this here. We got Harden. Kyrie Irving, what's the status on him? He's probable. So we got Kyrie against LeBron, right? We expect LeBron to play. Yeah, probable also. No AD, but no KD. So maybe things level out a little bit here. I don't know. James Harden, number 1. Obviously, with Kyrie back, he's not as urgent to jam him in. And you can see the difference if you look at Sacramento. Kyrie played. He still went for 72, which is awesome. 13 rebounds, 14 assists. But you can see the shot volume was a little bit down. I mean, I guess it wasn't that drastic when you consider Kyrie didn't even play. So you could add Harden to the list. I mean, I would expect Harden to carry, of the studs, I would think Giannis and Harden carry the highest ownership here. This is my thought. And I rightfully so. I completely get it. I definitely want a piece of LeBron. There's no doubt. I love LeBron in this spot. He's the one getting paced up in this situation, going up against Brooklyn, who doesn't play defense. So I love LeBron James, to be clear, in this spot. He's probably my favorite stud. But again, it's just a combination of ownership consideration, all that kind of stuff. Not that I think he'll be crazy low owned. It's a 3-game slate, right? Everybody's ownership is going to be somewhat high, at least the obvious good plays. But definitely want a piece. I'll take some Kyrie as well. Finding a way to get all 3 of these guys, it would be very interesting, I think, on this spot. Kyrie went for 50 FanDuel points in 30 minutes against the Kings? So, yeah, and obviously, listen, I know he's made amends with LeBron and apologized and all that dirty stuff, but I'm sure he wants to play well, right? And they are in LA out there. Kyle Kuzma screwed me pretty bad against Minnesota. He just really wasn't relevant, really wasn't all that involved. You saw what Sabonis did to Minnesota. So just Kyle Kuzma is not Domantas Sabonis, right? We know that. 3 for 6, the volume just really wasn't there. I would, however, be willing to go back on FanDuel, 5-8. 6-7 on DraftKings, you can, especially on a small slate if we think he's going to be low owned, which I do think he will be because of his price. But FanDuel, it's a little like you feel more comfortable taking the risk because of the 5-8 price tag. Dennis Schroeder played extremely well. Went for 42 against Minnesota, had a really soft matchup. It's going to draw a pretty soft matchup. Kyrie is not known for his defense, right? So going to draw a pretty soft matchup as well here. How much is Schroeder over here? Schroeder is 5-8 on DraftKings. Yeah. I'm fine, but he was really efficient. 9 for 15 from the field. I just don't love relying on that shit. You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying. DeAndre Jordan. So DeAndre Jordan was pretty popular the other night and got 28 minutes. Didn't really deliver. Jeff Green played a lot. Jeff Green played a lot of center. And I would think he could do it again. But I think one of the more interesting things that I'm considering when I'm looking at this spot is maybe Montrezl Harrell. He's 6'2 on FanDuel. He's going to carry low ownership. Only got 18 minutes against Minnesota, and he smashed him. But we've seen centers just destroy Brooklyn. So I'm kind of interested. You could argue Gasol if you want to go that route. Gasol played 29 minutes against Minnesota. But I think in this particular spot, there'd be more on the aggressive rather than defensive. And when they were trying to go aggressive, Montrezl Harrell is that guy. So I do like him. Joe Harris and Jeff Green, I'll probably Jeff Green I think on either side is in play. But Joe Harris, like I said, he played a lot of 5, backing up DeAndre Jordan. Joe Harris eventually got there. He's a good shooter, one of the better shooters. Got his 31 minutes. I'm good with him. Obviously, the volume's going to be a lot lower with Kyrie there, so it's certainly not a priority by any means. But yeah, I mean, I love LeBron. This is the game that, obviously, I love the Brooklyn guys, but that goes without saying, so we'll have to see. Moving on, Miami, Sacramento. So here's the late game that should carry some lower ownership. Jimmy Buckets has been awesome. He's expensive on both sides. Bam Adebayo's in a smash spot. De'Aaron Fox's price has come down on FanDuel to 8.3, 8.5 on DraftKings. The usage for De'Aaron Fox has been massive, and his ownership is going to be extremely low. We have Rashawn Holmes out. Harrison Barnes also out. So the Kings are missing some key players here, guys that are normally in their starting rotation. Marvin Bagley got 21 minutes in his first game back after missing a couple from injury. He was on a minutes limit, did well. Hassan Whiteside has only 4,600 in a revenge spot against his former team. Now, he shot 12 for 15 from the field, 5 blocks, 16 boards against Brooklyn. But this is listen, does he still have hate in his heart for him? I don't know. But at 4,600 on DraftKings, I'm willing to find out. And I will roster myself a decent amount of Hassan Whiteside. I would think that with Barnes' injury, we find Halliburton getting a little bit more minutes, maybe an uptick in minutes. I think we could also argue that Buddy Hield could be relied on for more shooting. He's very scoring dependent, but he plays big minutes. The minutes have come down to earth the last 3 games, but again, they're missing players. Positionally, who we think is going to play more with Barnes missing. You got Daquan Jeffries, I guess, as a candidate. We could see Bielitsa play more. Bielitsa only 4,600, only got 4 minutes against Brooklyn, but this could kind of open the door for him a little bit. But I think Whiteside is like the guy right now. And DraftKings, on FanDuel, these 6K, man, they don't want to give you nothing here. They don't want to give you nothing, but the 6K will lower his ownership. I think he will be somewhat popular on DraftKings for sure, especially while everybody tries to use him to shove in the Brooklyn Laker guys. But again, the Miami side should be extremely low. Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Buckets is your first stop. I don't mind working in some Tyler Hero. Kendrick Nunn is fairly cheap. We could take advantage of that, right? Duncan Robinson's only 4,100. I know he's been different this year and not nearly as reliable from a fantasy perspective. But this game should be interesting. Using this game to make the Brooklyn Laker game work while incorporating the successful pieces from the Toronto game, that's the challenge, and that's what makes DFS so much fun, right? But De'Aaron Fox is kind of interesting, again, talking about the usage. When you consider he's probably going to be low owned, because if you look at the point guard position, especially on FanDuel as a whole, You've got your Kyrie Irving. You know, to be honest with you, maybe we see double spend ups at point guard. I was assuming that people are going to want to play Harden and Kyrie together, which I still think they will want to. But looking at it positionally, shooting guard, in my opinion, shooting guard has a little bit more obvious depth, assuming Holiday's out. And I say obvious depth meaning Kyrie, De'Aaron Fox, Lowry might not even play. You got Schroeder, who people are iffy on. Kendrick Nunn, who people are iffy on. Meanwhile, at shooting guard, you got Van Vliet, who just went for 50. You have Buddy Hield and Halliburton at this position that people may be interested in with no Barnes. And then, of course, you've got Tyler Hero. So we could see lower ownership maybe on Harden and higher ownership on Kyrie for this reason. And then Jimmy Buckets, Middleton, Siakam. There's some options at small forward as well. And I mentioned I do like Powell. But this is going to be a fun slate. I really think that. I really think it's going to be a fun slate. But it's a short one. So do the dirty. Leave some comments. Let me hear back from you. Let me hear what you think about it. Hit the like button and please share, guys. Sharing goes a long way here. I appreciate you. For myself, the entire WiseTake Nation, as always, good luck.
Yes.